This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And this half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV, lots of insurance needs. And they will take care of all of them for you. Make sure that you are fully insured, because customer service means everything to them, saving you money. They're the best. Purdy Insurance. Great people, great pros. Just the nicest people to deal with. Just great people. And it's all at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. So Brian Anderson, the Brewers TV guy, and you see him all the time on TBS baseball. You see him on the NCAA tournament, NBA basketball. Brian's a great broadcaster, even better guy. I mean, the few times I've been around Brian, I just really liked him a lot. And so he gets the job with the Brewers. Uecker was the one that kind of opened the door, even though Bob didn't know him at all. And he had heard good things from a mutual friend, whatever. So Brian gets the job, but then he's on the job. They don't talk. So they go down to Miami, and Uecker says, "Hey, I heard you play golf." Yeah. He says, "Hey, set it up." Well, it was like they got there on a Sunday, right? And all the golf courses in Miami were closed. He goes, ugh. So Brian didn't know what to do. Like, geez. He says, because he didn't want to go up and tell Bob Uecker, hey, all the courses are closed. So he calls a good friend who worked as the head pro at one of the Miami courses. And, he told him he was going to bring Bob Uecker over, and he says, hey, I'll open it up for you guys. He says, because Anderson told him straight out, he says, look, it's Bob Uecker. I need a win here. Right? I need a victory. So the guy not only opens the course, but he brought the chef in and one of the kids to do the clubs in the cart. Now, the entire round, Uecker's looking around saying, I can't believe nobody's out here today. It's a beautiful day. Like that old line, like I'm sitting in the front row. So they spent 5 hours together, and Brian Anderson says the first 9 holes, Uecker was incredible. How to be a Brewers broadcaster, who not to tick off, who to avoid, who to talk to, everything, right? But on the back 9, they were playing with the club pro and the club champion. And Uecker wanted to bet them. Brian says that he and Uecker won the back 9, but not without nervous moments. He says, I was scared to death of Bob Uecker, Anderson said. I was scared to death to be him in his presence because he was just an incredible force of nature. What a brilliant man. I don't want to get all sad right now, but because he'd be so mad at all of us for even talking about him. And Anderson said Uecker always used to joke to fellow broadcasters that he couldn't wait for his fellow broadcasters to have to carry him out of the booth one day. And he said that it's been written before, but on our tombstones we're going to have the year we were born, the year we died, with the dash in the middle. Has there ever been a greater dash in our world than Bob Uecker? Brian Anderson said. That's the life he lived. He said that guy was as special as it gets. Pretty good.
it was. I read this yesterday, and I hadn't really thought about it, but he's kind of the last of something that probably doesn't exist in our society anymore. He was America's guest. Doesn't seem quite right, but there's not that person that goes around the talk shows anymore. There's not somebody that can call up to tell stories like that. It's just they used to have Dean Martin or Bob Uecker or somebody like that come on a show and tell stories for a little bit. And there's not anybody in our society like that anymore.
No, it doesn't seem that way. What's interesting is in baseball broadcasting, in broadcasting in general, I'm not here to rail on analytics. Analytics has a spot, right? Okay. All right. So let's start with that. But analytics in some ways, we can talk about whether it's hurt the game or not, but analytics in some ways has hurt the profession. Now, I'm talking about the profession of baseball because in football and basketball, we don't have time to tell stories. Right? Ball's in play, the ball's in play, the ball's in play, the ball's in play, right? There's an instant replay, something, right? So it's a constant, right? But in baseball, you have time to be a storyteller. And I made by the way, I broke a rule at the end of the first half hour. I started to tell the Brian Anderson story, and then we were up against the break. In baseball, you never start a story with 2 outs. Okay? So for all you aspiring baseball broadcasters out there, never start a story with 2 outs. Okay? Because the first pitch could be a grounder, and well, we'll pick it up in the next inning. That's not really the way to do it. Okay? And I did that right before the top of the hour. I should have started the story sooner. But we're losing storytelling in baseball. You have time. I know there's 15 to 20 seconds on a pitch clock, depending on what level you're at. And they're so concentrated now on, like, they're throwing numbers at you the entire time in a baseball broadcast. The problem that you have right now is that the average fan, there are numbers that they understand and the numbers they don't understand. And I will tell you in no uncertain terms, there are numbers the broadcaster understands and doesn't understand. But they spew them anyway. The advice I give to my class is this: be the best you, and remember who you're talking to. You are not on the air to talk to the critics. You are not on the air to talk to the analytics department. You're on the air to talk to the audience. The audience means everything. Okay? The critics don't mean a thing. Doesn't mean you can't be criticized. And it doesn't mean you can't take criticism to heart and say, you know what, I have to make a change. Okay? If you deem it to be fair and correct. But your job is to broadcast to the audience. Uecker was a storyteller. Vince Scully was a storyteller. Who's today's storyteller?
I mean, you get it with Crucky and Anderson, but that's kind of about it.
Okay? Right? It's the it is it's losing it's becoming a lost art, because now I've got to tell somebody what their OPS is. Well, somebody explain to me how do you get OPS? WAR. How do you calculate WAR? Anybody know? Do you know how to calculate WAR? I know you don't use it, but I mean, do you know how to calculate it?
I would say I used to. I don't know now.
Nope, I don't know. All right. QBR. How do you calculate QBR?
Well, that's something you have to sit down and actually look at.
Right, that's my point.
It's a whole formula.
That's my point.
Yes.
Okay? Batting average. Number of at-bats, official at-bats, and hits. How about that? Interesting thought. Okay. It's easy. Every kid that loves baseball knows how to do it. WAR? No. Yet the analytics department will go, well, his WAR number is, I sit there and go, I tell again, back to what I talked to the class, I said, tell the audience stuff that they understand. Okay? Most of the audience doesn't know what a WAR number means. They don't know how to calculate it. Have you ever one time heard me use QBR on this show or on a Penn State football broadcast?
No.
Because it doesn't mean anything to anybody. If you can't calculate it, what does it mean? Drew Allers had 70% of his passes. People can understand that. He's thrown 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. They can understand that. I don't need the analytics department to sit there and tell me, like, hey, now, are there fun stuff? Are there fun things? Absolutely. How far did the home run go? What was the exit velocity? Fun. You add that in later because it's fun. Okay? Nick Singleton, that 66-yard kickoff return against Maryland, he ran it at 22 miles an hour. Next gen stat. That's fun. That's fun. It's okay to add in fun. But people can relate to that. His QBR number is, and his WAR and his OPS and his. It's irrelevant. Who cares? Let's get to his slash numbers. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, your job is to talk to the audience and be the conduit between the game and the audience. It's not your job to impress the analytics department that you use the numbers. It's not your job to impress the critics with how prepared you are. You are prepared. But you did it in a way the audience understands. It's about the audience. And that's where, like, we talk about last of the storytellers, that's where we're losing people. They want to hear the stories. Yeah? No, they want to hear the stories as long as they're good ones. I mean, I try to think that most of the stories we tell on this show are pretty good ones. That's right. But storytelling's part of the job. It's part of the entertainment part of it. Right? Instead of, and there is Anderson at the plate, his slash numbers are so impressive to this point. You're like, oh, I don't care about his slash numbers. And I love the game.
I would also argue that people understand that Nick ran 20-some miles an hour. I don't think they relate to running 20 miles an hour.
Right, they can't relate to it. They understand it, though. Yeah, that's exactly right.
He's running almost as fast as the speed limit in my neighborhood. How's that?
Well, one of the players, I'm not going to get into which player, okay, because these are, I consider them private conversations. But he told me what his speed number was a couple weeks ago. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, but I said, the speed limit on campus is only 10, right? You got a good laugh out of that. All right.
I was going to say, I think they hit Verse at 260 pounds running 21 miles an hour on that on that fumble return on Monday night.
Who was that?
Verse. Jared Verse.
Oh, Jared Verse. Oh, yeah. No, God, Verse is fast.
Oh. Well, he was on a state champion 4x4 team at Central Columbia.
He was that. And the weird thing is he was that, but like as a football player, he was like
okay,
another guy.
Yeah. Actually, their best defender was the starting line on that team was the starting linebacker for Susquehanna this year.
Yeah. Meanwhile, but you know what? Greg saw something in him. Greg Gattuso, because I know Greg Gattuso, up in Albany. And Greg encouraged him, hey, look, you can't just stick here. You got to go. It's a great story. And Verse is going to be chasing Barkley and Hurts on.
He also got himself in trouble yesterday.
Oh, did he? What did he do?
He kept he did a whole interview talking about how much he hates Eagles colors and the Eagles fans and all of it right probably, but probably not the best week to get into it.
Well, I think because they know he's from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's what started it.
Yeah.
Actually, and if you're an Athletic subscriber, Jordan Rodriguez did a really good story on him, a feature story on Jared today. Jordan
worked at the Center Daily Times for a while. Jordan's really nice, really terrific person, and Jordan, she does a great job, and I personally like. She's been on this show many times.
It's one of those things that's why I follow her. Originally was because she was on the Penn State beat, but I mean she did a great job at Carolina, and now I mean she did a podcast series with the Rams and Sean McVay 2 years ago about how he basically redid his whole philosophy on football from that bad season. That's really good. It's 4 or 5 parts.
Yeah, she's a good reporter, writes good stories. Now, that's the next part, the bulletin board material.
Wow.
I always love that. Like, there's so many things in sports I think are irrelevant. Right? And people can't stand when I label these things irrelevant, but it's irrelevant. They can't stand when I say that. When you're around it all the time, you know what's important and what's not important. It's okay. I feel like I ruined the experience for some people. The Suit talks about that all the time. Kevin is always, right? Will say to me, you'll say stuff, you're ruining my experience. I say, yes, but I'm telling you it's not real. Oh, yeah, I never got a hold of my brother today. Speaking of Kevin's.
Well,
probably should.
I was going to say, we got 10 minutes.
Yeah,
until we need them.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes. Yeah. But, like you bulletin board material. Now, do you think that what he said about Eagles colors and the fans and things like that, it gets people mad, fired up, the whole thing. Do you think it has anything to do with winning the game? No.
I was going to say, I'm not sure the Eagles players would even know he said it. Some of the Eagles fans probably do. But
oh, they definitely know. They read all that stuff. Oh.
He's certainly gonna find out when he's introduced, I would assume, on Sunday.
It is like they'll introduce the offense.
Yeah, hopefully.
It doesn't matter. What, do you think Lane Johnson's going to block him harder because of what he said? Or do you think he's going to do it because Jalen Hurts needs him to block him? Saquon Barkley needs you to block this guy. Just go do it. Well, I'm going to because he said nasty things. I always love that. There's just so many things that just aren't important that we make big deals about. And we go, I can't believe it. It doesn't matter. He said it. It's irrelevant. I feel like I've ruined the Suits sports experience. I've talked to him about sports myths. Oh, goodness gracious. See, like, you get it. but like, I love when he throws like the suit. And I appreciate this. He throws a lot of passion and effort into the opening he has of the game. He writes it out, right? He'll record it, the whole deal, right? You know he does that, right?
I will have to take your word for it.
And he says, but he loves like the music, the open, the whole thing. And I always tell him the same thing. I said, well, you do know there's about 3.5 hours worth of game after that, right? I mean, did I have to tell everybody that Penn State and SMU is a big game? Did I have to tell them the Orange Bowl and the Fiesta Bowls were big games? Right, here we go.
Yeah. You do have to explain sometimes how important the midweek Heartland Conference game is, though.
That I do understand. You do have to do that. That part I do understand. I get that part. I actually do get that part. Right? Well, now, did I do something a little different for the SMU game? First of all, Roger's the one that opens. Roger was sick. He was not at the SMU game. I had to open. So I did it pretty simple. Instead of I think Roger's opens are like 3 to 4 minutes. I think mine was 45 seconds. Yeah, let's play ball.
You had Jack making the horse noise on the table while you were doing it?
Yeah. And then, but when I came out, because I'd already had planned in the second segment I was going to say something. And it was in the second segment, because I wanted the game in the open to be about the game and about this team and what they've accomplished to get to this point and how, and here was the first college football playoff game ever. The second segment, I mentioned how Joe had fought for decades for a playoff. And not only is there an expanded playoff for the first time in 2024, right? Penn State is in it. And not only is Penn State in it on Joe Paterno and what would have been his 98th birthday, Penn State is playing the game at Beaver Stadium. I saved that for the second segment because the first segment had to be about this team, right? The start of the second segment, I wanted to make sure that was brought in because of the nostalgia of it, the irony of it, and so many Penn State fans can relate to that. Okay? So that's why I did it in that order. So it actually was, even though I didn't have anything written down. That's the other part that drives him nuts. Where are your notes? Yeah, we're fine. We're good. He gets mad at me about that. Brian Tripp makes fun of me about that. He goes, where are your notes? Hey, we're fine. We're good.
I'm not a big note guy either.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Let's you can ad-lib the rest of the game. You can ad-lib the open. I mean, come on. Drives the suit nuts.
That's not a short list.
No, but I'm kind of surprised in this segment he hasn't texted me yet because
I didn't see his car today, so I think he's out and about.
Movies?
Well, I think he told them work, but that's a good chance.
So, Mission Impossible 8?
It's probably Sonic 3 these days.
All right. I don't know if we're going to get the King on or not. I did text him. I did. I swear to you. I texted him. I did. But it wasn't until a couple of minutes ago.
Speaking of somebody who'd probably like us to have a couple notes.
No.
Last night.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Hey, great to be with you. Brought to you by Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. Imports, domestics, microbrews, the best selection of beer anywhere. Wine coolers, water, soft drinks, snacks. They roast their peanuts fresh and hot every day, and now ready-to-drink cocktails, Jack Daniels, High Noon, Crown Royal. And the Pickle Bar, led by the Barrels and the Dills, indeed second to none. It's all at Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. I would get over to Brewers Outlet today and tomorrow for the playoff weekend and the national championship game, because Sunday the high is going to be 23. It's Monday, the high is going to be 15 on King Day. 13 for a high on Tuesday. 13 for a high on Wednesday. We're going to be below zero overnight. Why don't you stock up now? Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street in Sunbury, the beverage supermarket. It's going to be a little chilly, Todd.
Bet you wish that L.A. trip was a couple weeks earlier than it is.
Yeah, well, not with the way things are like out there.
Well,
right
that's
now.
true.
Yeah, you know.
Well, I meant warmer
okay.
weather, but
that's okay. Look, I got Phoenix and I got Miami.
Well, that's true.
Okay, so I've been doing pretty darn well with how the weather has turned out. So that's no, I've been doing just fine, and that. Although I do laugh about the temperature part of it. Remember when SMU came in here and it was so cold, and we had Rich Phillips on, the play-by-play voice of SMU football. He says, "Oh yeah, we're down in Charlotte. It was 38. Oh man, cold. It's not any big deal." I'm thinking, I don't think you get what cold is, man. All right, look, I grew up in New England, right? So it's very much like here. But I mean, we had nor'easters, things like that. I can tell you in no uncertain terms, okay, that no matter what anybody says, you never get used to the cold. You just don't. Now, do you adapt? Sure, you adapt. I've been in, like all of you out there, I've been in lots of cold weather in my lifetime. Right? But that doesn't mean you sit there and go, yep, I'm used to it, we're good. I'm not used to it. I've never been used to it. My father grew up in Pennsylvania, and then, of course, we eventually settled in Connecticut. My dad hated the cold weather. Yeah, you get used to it. Really? I don't think so. All right, show of hands out there. They're like, and just use one hand if you're driving. All right, how many of you are used to the cold? I mean, Todd, are you used to it?
I would say I tolerate it. Used to it's too strong.
Yep. That's exactly right. You do tolerate. Now, I love the change of seasons. I do. I love the change of seasons. I love the fact that I live in 4 seasons. Nice little snowstorm here and there. It's kind of like, hey, really great, especially around the holidays. Right? Great. No problem. But the cold weather, I mean, here Monday, King Day, let's see. Well, Sunday's going to be 23 for a high, cold, and 11 for a low. Let's see. What do they have? That wind's not that bad. That's all right. Right, but 23 and 11, okay? The real feel is 1 below 0. Then we get to Monday, King Day. Now, Penn State is a basketball game, although there'll be a lot of places that are closed and no mail delivery or anything like that on Monday. 15 for a high, real feel -3. Okay? At night, 0. Wind chill, 7 below. Tuesday, 13. Wind chill, 1. At night, 5 below 0. Wind chill. Okay? Is going to be 14 below 0. Okay, great. Wednesday, 13 for a high. Wind chill, all right, not so bad. 8. Nighttime, 4. Wind chill, 8 below 0. Great. Fabulous. Then we have a warming trend where it gets to 27. It's going to feel balmy on Thursday. Really?
One of those weeks when it's 33 on Friday, it's time to wear the short sleeves.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm going to go to Iowa City the weekend after this. It's 52 there right now. When I go, it's going to be nice. It's going to be 35, 33 in the teens at night. Then we go from Iowa City to Ann Arbor. It's going to be one trip, right? Ann Arbor, Michigan. And what we got there? Teens at night, 25, 26. It's all right. It's not going to snow. It's a really good thing. Yeah, it's not going to snow. It's good. Well, au contraire, mon frere. We talk about snow Monday night. Oh, we're playing Monday night. Oh. And they're talking about 4.5 inches. Ah. Get us to the airport. Make sure it's plowed. Yikey, crikey. Oh, boy. Yeah. Let's see. Let's just make sure here. Going to be there Monday. Monday night. Yeah. But it's about a 70% chance. It's like, okay, great. These are all things you have to look at. Okay. You do the best you can. All right.
Hopefully it's not a lovely Tuesday in Ann Arbor as well.
I would like to not find out.
Yes.
But I throw that in there. So, yeah. The once again we go back to the ruling. Not the ruling; it's the directive from the Department of Education. Again, on the way out the door. Okay. And the ruling on the way out the door, or the directive, is that they want to have the money, the $20.5 million, under Title IX purview, which means it would be split 10.25, 10.25, men, women, which is not what they were expecting. Okay? That's not what they were expecting. And we'll see if a new administration with a new lead in Linda McMahon, if they keep it the same or if they change it. Okay. It's just it's something that you know bears watching, because the final sign off on this is going to be the final sign off on this is going to be April 7th. So we'll see what happens between now and then. Okay. Again, 15 to 17 million had been thought of to go for most programs across the country to football, about maybe 1.5 to 2.5 million in men's basketball, then the rest. And are there ways around it? Sure. Yeah, there are ways around it. Through NIL and corporate partners and so forth, there are, quote, ways around it.
Did you see Audrey Snyder's story this morning? by chance?
No, I did not.
They're just talking about it was a story on them retaining the team and such, and there was a comment from Stankiewicz.
Okay.
I think that's from the Nittany Lions NIL thing that the donations actually went up after the Ohio State game, and most of them were marked, please use on a number 1 wide receiver.
Right.
I thought that was kind of amusing.
No, I understand that. No, I understand. Believe me, I understand that.
Well, I just mean, like, the money went up and, like, everybody writing their $20 checks and with memo number 1 wide receiver just amused me this morning.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I get it. Believe me. I completely get it. And that's... I get it.
Yeah. I understand. I just found it amusing.
Right. So, and this is what's happened at many places where it's been used for retention, which has been great, and that's really helped. And I don't know what to, again, we're just going to have to see what this means. I mean, just that we have to see what it means. We have to see if there's a new directive from the new Department of Education. And there's an Oregon case that's already out there. And the Oregon case that is already out there was challenging Title IX on this. Oregon Title IX lawsuit. Okay. 32 current and former female students at the University of Oregon filed a Title IX class lawsuit alleging sex discrimination, athletic participation, financial aid, benefits, and publicity. They said they get better publicity to male athletes than female athletes. So last summer, the University of Oregon is facing the first known Title IX lawsuit based on NIL. Brianna Burns, wrote this. The first lawsuit takes into account gender inequity and NIL benefits for student athletes. The plaintiffs in this case are the women beach volleyball players and the women club rowers at the University of Oregon. These female student athletes are seeking damages based on disproportionate treatment of granting financial aid to women varsity student athletes as compared to male varsity student athletes. They allege the male varsity student athletes are provided superior NIL opportunities when compared to the NIL opportunities offered to women varsity student athletes. In addition to suing Oregon, the University of Oregon, they also are suing Division Street and Open Doors, the dedicated collectives for the University of Oregon that they use to handle the university's NIL marketplace. The university is attempting to dismiss the lawsuit by distancing themselves from the NIL collectives. It's kind of hard to do. They argue that there is no allegation in the complaint that the school directly or indirectly controls the allegation of NIL proceeds. Okay. If NIL is taken literally, so let's do it in the literal sense, okay? Isn't name, image, and likeness opportunity based on what somebody thinks you can do with your name, image, and likeness opportunity? I mean, with all due respect to the wonderful athletes on the beach volleyball team and the rowing team, who means more to Oregon's financial success, which gives them in turn opportunity, and who means more to Oregon's image athletically, Dylan Gabriel or anyone on those teams? I'm just asking. Doesn't mean they don't deserve opportunity. It doesn't mean they don't deserve to get something out of it. I hope they get something out of it. I hope everybody gets something out of it. Right? They're putting in the work, the sweat equity, everything that goes with it. But if you're doing it on a scale of who means more, does Jackson Shellstead, the point guard on the Oregon basketball team, mean more than they do? Well, yeah, because if Shellstead and Oregon play well enough and get to the NCAA tournament, they can earn more money to allow everybody to get more money for their programs instead of having your program shelved.
Didn't you also say that the rowing team was club?
I did not.
I thought it said club rowing when you were reading the story.
My guess is they're varsity. Because, I mean, the Ohio State has varsity rowing. Let's see. Everything is popular. I just want to make sure maybe I read it right wrong. These issues have had lost opportunities. First loss of plaintiffs in the case of the women's beach volleyball players. So you're right, is club. The club rowers. And the women's club rowers. You're a club sport. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense to me. I'll never forget a fencer at Penn State coming up to me. And I was there to do a feature on fencing, by the way. It was for TV. We were doing a feature on fencing. Fencing's had great success at Penn State over the years, so I was there to do a feature. And I talked to one of the fencers, and she said to me, I never followed football before. Now I go to every football game. Because of them, I have an opportunity to compete. That person gets it. Because of their money, they have an opportunity to compete. Because look, do you want to know how much money and revenue was brought in by the club rowing team and the beach volleyball team? Not enough to keep them alive as a sport. See, that's the part you just keep trying. I keep trying to hammer home to everybody. Okay, I don't mind that these programs lose money. I don't mind that as long as I've got the money to cover it. I want as many athletes to have opportunities as possible. Okay? To me, it's about the opportunities. Right? And if you have to get some NIL on the side, we were talking last night about the top earner on campus among athletes because of his TikTok, Facebook, Instagram stuff. And it's one male gymnast. He's raked in money for years and years. Number one, because the guy's a riot. He knows how to do it. Plus, he's really good in gymnastics. Okay? Big Ten champion. We'll come back. More in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. Will Sunbury Motors factory trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6 Monday through Friday, Saturday 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free